Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to pair up my Spectrum DX5R with my Axial SCX10ii. I do have the RC 4-wheel drive worn winch on here, so I am going to set up the 3-channel control on my radio to control the winch as well. So I'll show you how I do that. I think before I do anything though, I'm going to go ahead and put a quick little plug, a JST plug, on these front lights. If you watched one of my last videos, I hooked up the bumper lights, and it makes the body really tough to get on and off. So what I'm going to do is just put in a little JST plug. This way I can unplug the bumper lights when I want to. So I'm going to do that off camera real fast, just really soldering on the connectors. Not a big deal, but I'll show you what I did and what it looks like when I get done. Be right back. Alright, so that was real easy. I just put on the JST plug. So when I want to take the body off, all I have to do is just go ahead and disconnect the plug real fast, and then the body comes off, no problem. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the DX5R paired up with the Axial SCX10 here. So I'm going to take off the cover to the receiver box. I try not to use the drill too much, but these screws in this receiver box are ridiculously long, so I'm going to cheat, but I generally don't like to use the drill too much though. This is overkill. This is a 20 volt max DeWalt, the lithium ion, so I can do some serious damage. So normally what I do is I turn the dial down to 1. Alright, so the screws might not be ridiculously long, but they're long enough. Alright, so I'm in the receiver box, going to get these wires out of my way. What I'm going to do is get a flathead screwdriver and pry up the receiver and then start swapping over wires. Alright, so I have my new Spectrum receiver. This is the SR415, and I have the TQI receiver. But you know what? I'm going to take one step back. I think what I'm going to do is, before I start swapping wires over, I want to just go ahead and bind this real fast. Alright, so I have the bind plug in. I'm using my super fancy setup here. It's just an extra ESC that I had laying around, an extra motor. I used to have a servo hooked up to this, but I don't know what I did with it, but whatever. This is good enough to get it bound up. So, the bind plug's in. I'm going to get the radio fired up. Alright, so on my menu, I'm going to go ahead and get the model select. I'm going to do add new model, and I'm going to create. So when you get back to the main screen, you can see new model. Now I will go in here later and rename new model to SCX10ii, or I don't know, something. But for now I'm going to just leave this. I'm going to go ahead and get this receiver bound to the radio. Alright, so I'm going to go into the menu here. I'm going to go down to bind and frame rate. Alright, so got the new model. I'm going to change my frame rate to 11. So this is all ready to be bound. The battery's plugged into my little extra ESC. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the ESC on. Alright, and then I want to hit bind on the radio. Alright, so it's all bound. And we're working. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to go and start swapping over some wires here. Really a one-for-one. Throttle to the throttle, the steering to the steering. And then I'll look at my aux channels and go from there. Hey guys, I may have mentioned this before, but if you have the side fin, you're going to need to shave that off. It will not fit into the receiver. I just use an X-Acto knife to cut it off. If you were ever wondering what the inside of a TQI receiver looks like, there you are. I'll put this back together. This is a perfectly fine receiver, and I will be using this for something else. Not sure what, but something else. Alright guys, so everything's plugged in. So I think before I go any further, I'm going to just start working on my controls with my radio and just make sure everything's looking good. I think before I even attempt to put it in the box, I'll get everything else done first. Alright, so I got my steering. The steering is actually correct, so I don't have to adjust anything. And I got forward and I got reverse. So everything is looking good there. Now the big thing I got to get done is I got to get this winch controlled. I don't really want to take it all apart, but I do have the RC four-wheel drive winch controller inside of a Traxxas receiver box. I did that because the controller is not waterproof. So by putting it in this box, it's maybe not 100% waterproof, but it's a lot better than what it would have been otherwise. Anyway, so I'm going to go through and get this programmed. So I'm going to hit the center dial button. I'm going to scroll down to my channel assign. I'm going to hit the button here. So I'm going to look for auxiliary 1. That's where I have the winch plugged in, and I'm going to get it activated. Alright, so I'm going to go down to input, and I'll select a control letter. Alright, so what I did was I set the winch up to channel D. So this is what the screen looks like here. It's 3 position. The cyclic is inhibit, and momentary is set to active. So when I hit D on my remote and I press it up, the controller goes out. As soon as I release it, it stops moving, so I have full control over the winch. When I pull it forward, it'll come out. As soon as I let go, again it stops. So I have full control over this. Alright, so off camera I went ahead and put the name in, SCX10ii. So this thing's all set up. The last thing I need to do is put the receiver into the receiver box. So I'll go ahead and do that off camera and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have the receiver double-sided taped in the receiver box. Kind of a lot of wires in there, so it was a bit of a press. I think I actually pinched one, so I'll fix that real fast. But other than that, it is in there. I did put a little Traxxas antenna tube around the receiver wire. There's a little hole that the SCX10 has on a little cross brace here, so I fed the wire up through, and I'm going to just use a little shoe glue to hold the antenna tube in place. Alright, so the antenna tube is shoe glued on. I fixed that pinched wire that was in there. I'm ready to put the body on and give it a final test. Alright guys, all done. The little connector that I put on at the beginning of the video, I didn't test it right away, but it does work. Everything's working just fine. And on my controller, I got forward, and we got reverse, and we got my steering. Alright guys, so that's it for today. If you liked what you saw, please click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a great day. See you soon.